there's a problem. The blame, the fault, the responsibility, and ultimately the karma rests with the sound team. The sound team. Now the amazing thing about our sound team is that they're always at fault. They never stop making mistakes, okay? All the time. But if I ask this gentleman to stand up, stand up, stand up, look at the audience. Has he got a smile on his face? Hey, now look at the audience. Turn. He's always in ecstasy. And my conclusion is that we should make more mistakes in life because it obviously makes us happy. So, we were meant to have one particular act coming on right now, and what I'm doing is, because the sound man is not ready, I'm buying time, as you probably guessed, so as that the next act is ready.
Joe, sorry. Sorry.
Pardon?
Sorry.
A story. I don't have any stories to tell. Stories, jokes.
Don't believe it.
Huh?
I don't believe it.
Ragatmika says she doesn't believe it. Now, that's a very interesting comment. If Ragatmika, David Assey, if Ragatmika can give me, what do they call it? Immunity. If she can give me immunity from any negative reaction based on the story that I'll tell, then I will tell a story. So it's up to Ragatmika, Malaji.
That's asking a lot.
Huh?
That's asking a lot.
She says that's asking a lot. Is that asking a lot?
I'll say it for her, say a story.
No. She has to give immunity.
Oh, no.
Do you not know what immunity means?
I never know what you're going to say.
Well, does this boy know what immunity means?
Say yes, say yes, say yes. No.
You don't know what immunity means?
Okay, no, actually I don't, in relation to what you're asking. Give you immunity? Give you immunity from any criticism, or?
Whose fault was that?
The light man.
No. The light man is here. We can't blame him because he's more serious, and the problem with the light man is he actually understands English.
Sound man.
You see, the sound man doesn't speak English, knows nothing, we just blame everything on the sound man. I'll tell you a story about Prasadam, okay? I'll tell you a story about Prasadam? Okay. It's happened many years ago. Many years ago. And honouring Prasadam is a wonderful Vaishnava activity. Honouring Mahaprasadam is also a wonderful activity, okay? And there are different types of Mahaprasadam. Like, for instance, we honour sometimes the Mahaprasadam that's coming from the deity. But we also honour the Mahaprasadam that comes from other advanced devotees, right? We all agree with that? We all agree with that. Okay, so this is a story about honouring, or at least it's a story about the anticipation of honouring Prasadam from exalted Vaishnavas. So this was about nearly 30 years ago. And there was, I won't mention names, okay? But just to give you the outline. There was a very exalted personality who was visiting our temple. Very exalted. One of the most exalted personalities in the Hare Krishna movement. The devotee who was in charge of the yatra was also an exalted personality. Anyway, we had the morning program and went right through the morning program. And then, of course, oftentimes, what's the best part of the morning program?
Bhagavatam class.
Bhagavatam class. They're spoken that you must be a Brahmin. You're coming from a Brahminical background. Anybody else want to offer what the best part of the morning program is?
Breakfast.
Prasadam. Prasadam. Now he's a Vaishnava. So you're coming from a Brahminical background, but he's actually a Vaishnava. He's transcendental. He's identifying Prasadam. So breakfast Prasadam came. And the exalted personality that was responsible for the yatra at that time, and the visiting personality who was even more exalted. They went upstairs to another room and they honored prasadam together. And the rest of the devotees, they went into the prasadam room downstairs in the temple, and they were taking prasadam all together. So we were all sitting in rows taking prasadam. And we were about halfway through taking prasadam when another devotee came in the room with like a half-filled plate of prasad. Now this devotee was a bhakta. He had only actually joined the temple about 2 weeks earlier. Only 2 weeks earlier he had joined. And we had a habit in the yatra that I grew up in. We had a habit, actually a bad habit as it happens I think, but we had a habit of giving devotees, when they were bhaktas, giving them nicknames. We all know what nicknames means? Yeah? Fun names. But oftentimes they weren't devotee nicknames, they were actually non-devotee nicknames, and they tended to be based on the person's personality or looks or whatever it might be. So this bhakta, his name was Pat, Bhakta Pat, okay, short for Patrick, okay, Bhakta Pat. And he came from a kind of rough background, you know, in the city of Dublin in Ireland, okay? He came from a kind of rough background. What we might say low-class kind of Sudra background. So Bhakta Pat was a bit of a rough and ready character, okay? And he was like a short guy, about up to my shoulder, but he was extremely stocky, like that. And also, when he would take off his shirt, if he was taking a shower like, and you're in the bathroom and he would take off his shirt like that, you would get a fright because of he's one of these guys with the big hairy chests and hairy backs, you know, and the whole thing. So he was a short guy, stocky guy, big hairy kind of guy. So the nickname that he got was Bhakta Funky Gibbon Pat. So it was in reference to a certain primate animal. So that was his nickname, Bhakta Funky Gibbon Pat, okay? And he had that habit of kind of bouncing around and bounding around. He was kind of like one of these kind of guys. And he also had a fairly rough Dublin accent. Anybody know the rough Dublin accent, what it sounds like? It doesn't sound like mine. I have a very elevated, you know, sophisticated Dublin accent actually, you know, so I apologise for that. You know, what can I do? What can I do? You know? But he had a very rough Dublin accent. And the rough Dublin accent goes something like this. Yeah, right mate, how you doing? That's roughly, did anyone understand what I said? Okay, I'll say it a little slower. Yeah, right mate, how's it going? Okay, now you understood? You heard us say? So that's the kind of rough Dublin accent. So, we were all in the prasadam room, honouring breakfast prasadam. And one of the devotees, who will remain nameless, but a wonderfully, wonderfully sweet devotee, who's still a devotee to this day, loves kirtan, always is on Harinam. He was sitting beside me, taking prasadam, okay? Wonderful, wonderful devotee, who, not Gopal, I always call you Gopal, I'm so sorry Guru, you know? But Gopal's brother, you will know this devotee actually, you know him. What's his name? Yadu, thank you. Sorry, Yadu, sorry. So Yadu here knows the devotee that I'm talking about that was sitting beside me. Wonderful devotee who loves kirtan. So he's sitting beside me in the prasadam room, like devotees do, cross-legged, okay? And Bhakta Funky Gibbon Pat, who I've just described in detail. Do you all know Bhakti Funky Gibbon Pat now? Yeah. Based on the description? So this is Bhakta Funky, short guy, hairy, you know, rough action, like that, okay? So he comes, and we've these two exalted personalities upstairs who have just taken breakfast, okay? One of them was the spiritual master of most of the devotees in the prasadam room. And Bhakti Funky Gibbon Pat, he comes jumping in the door of the prasadam room. Haribol! Remnants, remnants! And this devotee, sweet, sweet devotee that was sitting beside me, he literally in one movement, he sort of leapt up from his cross-legged position, reached out with his hand, onto the plate of prasadam, took a handful of the Mahaprasadam and put it into his mouth. And as he was chewing the Mahaprasadam, or what he thought was the Mahaprasadam, he said, "Whose is it? Is it so-and-so Prabhu's, or is it Maharaja's?" Now he was hoping it was Maharaja's because Maharaj only visits once a year, whereas Prabhu is there most of the time. Both is Mahaprasad, but he was hoping it was the Maharaja's. So he jumps up, grabs it. Oh, whose prasad is it? Prabhu's or is it Maharaja's? And Funky Gibbon Pat says, "No, it's mine." He was a bhakta of 2 weeks. The devotee that took the prasadam stopped in mid-chew and didn't know what to do. Okay, and our dear friend here, what's your name? That asked for the story. What's your name?
Narada.
Narada. Narada looks totally uninterested in that story. Don't worry, Narada, I'll tell you a joke later, okay? It's just that I can't tell it now because Rangatmaka would get on my case. Okay, are we ready, Madhurya? We're ready. Who's ready? Who's ready? I don't know who's ready. Everybody's ready. Okay, so what will we go with first? You tell me. You want me to tell? Okay. You see, in public, Madhurya is very compliant and submissive, all those things that a devotee's meant to be. But deal with her in private. Wow. She's just like totally unsubmissive. You know, gives back chat all the time, never cooperates. It's an absolute nightmare trying to deal with her, you know. In fact, I think any time that we have any further communication, we'll do it in public. You're just so wonderful when it's in public. It's absolutely fantastic. Okay, so what we're going to go with is... Yes, let you choose. What do you want? Would you like now to see a dance, or would you like to hear someone singing? All those who want to see a dance will chant Chaitanya, and all those who want to hear someone singing will chant Nityananda. But first, the Chaitanyas. All those who would like to see a dance. What's your name, Prabhu?
Nityanand!
Huh?
Aniruddha Das. I'm your servant.
Yeah, what's your name?
Aniruddha Das. Aniruddha.
Aniruddha. Okay, Aniruddha, could you please leave the auditorium? Because I said that I want anybody who wants to dance chants Chaitanya once. You chanted it 3 times. You know, you're nearly as bad as Madhurya Kadambini in your lack of submissiveness. So, all those who think that Aniruddha should go back to his room and take an early night.
No,
Give him one more chance.
it's not fair.
The Sunday evening audiences, I mean, they are just a nightmare. Sunday evening audiences. Okay, all those who would like to hear a song. Nityananda! Well, I have to say, I will defer to Ragatmaka because she's a Brahmin and she will give a fair assessment of those cheers. I thought they were very close and I couldn't decide. And I also don't want to upset anybody. Because once you go backstage and after you come off from introducing an act, I tell you, you know, you get a heavy time. See Giriraj Gopal here? Stand up, Giriraj. Doesn't he look like a real sweet little Vaishnav young man, doesn't he? You deal with him behind the scenes, you'll get a different impression, I tell you. Okay? He's nearly as bad as the light man. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said. I'm very sorry. He understands. He's not as bad as the sound man. The sound man is an absolute disaster. But look, stand up against her, please, go, please stand up. He's complaining about his appendix. Okay? Anybody know what appendix is in Bengali? Therefore, you won't be able to know whether it was appendix or not, but I'm telling you it was appendix. Ragatmaka, was it a dance, was it a song?
Nityananda.
Whoa, Ragatmaka says it was Nityananda. So we're going to do it one more time to give the Chaitanyas a chance to beat the Nityanandas, okay? All those who would like a dance. That was pretty good. All those like a song. Okay. I'll have to take an executive decision. We're going to have some martial arts. No, okay. We are going to have, now, what are they called? Oh dear. I need to get off stage anyway to deal with my cold. Who we have? Yes, we have doing the Sambalpur tribal dance. The Sambalpur tribal dance. Has he got the right DVD in or CD? Because it's the Sambalpur tribal dance. What is it? Good, so I'm hoping they're ready. Sambalpur tribal dance, cloud of nectar, hari hari bo.
সরিষ ফুলিয়ালো আ আ আ আ দুঃখ সুখ হবা
মুন্ডুয়া ধাগিড়ি ফুলা চাঙ্গুড়ি পাপকু জিবিনি রে না 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 রাগি বাঁধি গো মা
এ চিকিমিকিয়া এ চিকিমিকিয়া কল খরা সরিষ ফুলিয়ালো আ আ আ আ দুঃখ সুখ হবা
মুন্ডুয়া ধাগিড়ি ফুলা চাঙ্গুড়ি পাপকু জিবিনি রে না 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 রাগি বাঁধি গো মা
হুনারা হুনা হুনারা হুনা হুনারা হুনা হুনারা হুনা আলো মোর সরু পান পতর চাষ বাস ভাল হও এথর ধান বিকি কিনি দেবি অতর କରିଦେବି ଗୋରି ତତେ ଛୁମନ୍ତର ହୁନାରା ହୁନା ହୁନାରା ହୁନା
কুয়ারা পুনি দিন খরারে কুচি খেলুথিলি সাঙ্গ মেলারে লুচি লুচি ফুল সঞ্জ বেলারে মনটাকু ছুঁই দেই গলু চালি রে
আহম মহুলি রস কই ফুলিয়া তো হস আহম মহুলি রস লো কই ফুলিয়া তো হস নিসারে নিসারে ঝুমে দেলু তু তানা না 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 মনর তোতাটা গুটুর গুটুর ঘুমা মনর তোতাটা গুটুর গুটুর ঘুমা
মনরা মাইনা হুনুর হুনুর হুনুরা মনরা মাইনা হুনুর হুনুর হুনুরা
এ চিকিমিকিয়া এ চিকিমিকিয়া কলি খরা সরিষ ফুলিয়ালো আ আ আ আ সুখ দুঃখ